What did you guys think of the fight between those two?
You mind if I get my word first, Lau?
Yeah, go ahead, Nigel. Go do your thing.
So I watched the fight last night, and I think Leon Edwards looked relatively impressive in the fight. I think he did exactly what we said he was gonna go in there and do. He went in there, he was dominant in pretty much all facets of the fight. I have a complaint though. It's not with Leon Edwards or Nate Diaz. Shouts out to Nate Diaz because he came to fight. He signed, on the dotted line. He was in there. He did his thing. Whatever. Cool. Right? Dana White's at the press conference. They say, hey, Dana White, who's next at 170? He says, Colby's still number one. I got to complain about this because Colby just beat Tyron Woodley off an injury while we just saw Leon Edwards go through multiple hardships and get pick up some good performances on the way. 9-fight win streak, and somehow Colby Covington is the next guy. But we all know what it is. Colby Covington, there you go. Politics short, he has the name, the rematch. He's a little bit of a character, blah, 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 blah. But if I'm being honest, me as a fan of the sport, and I think a lot of people would agree with me, I'd rather see Leon Edwards versus Kamaru Usman at this moment in time. I don't think Colby Covington is going to go in there and do anything different than what happened in the first fight. I think Kamaru Usman has got, we'll save that for another day, but I just have a strong issue with that part of it.
Well, here's what I thought. Leon did beat him very handily, and he was winning the entire fifth round except for the last minute.
Literally.
Yeah, except for the last minute. And Diaz, he caught him with a good 1-2. I'm thinking that one that he hit him with, or it was a 3-2, but the first one he hit him with was a slap. And then before he hit him with a left. And then when he wobbled him, instead of Diaz bull rushing him, he pointed at him. And I thought that was a little weird. But what I will say is I'm not mad at Diaz because, Diaz came to fight. He happened to get a good one off of Leon. And you saw Leon, the motherfucker was he was about to be staring at the lights in a few moments. But it didn't happen. Leon picked up the rifle win. What I have a problem with was, to Nigel's point, Leon won't get the title shot. I thought he's not going to get the title shot off of what happened to him in the last minute of the fight. Because now the narrative is spinning is, hey, if Diaz had one more minute, if there was another round, he would have finished Leon. Oh, if this was real street fighting, Diaz would have knocked him out, finished him. And I hate that narrative because I'm yes, Diaz did land a good punch, and Diaz could have finished the fight. But Diaz did not finish the fight. And when it came down to the judges, Diaz did lose 24 minutes out of 25. And it's so crazy that the UFC and the fans of Diaz will ignore the pummeling that he received prior to that moment. And Colby getting the rematch with Usman, I'm not upset at it because I knew that's what the UFC was pushing hard for. The only reason why Colby wasn't going to get it if Nate Diaz won, Dana was going to back up the Brinks truck for it because he knows Nate Diaz could give him some money. But since that had happened, and he knows Leon isn't going to give him no fucking money in a pay-per-view because that's just not what his personality brings, they're going to do the Colby rematch. They're going to do MAGA versus non-MAGA. And, Colby is going to go to the fucking moon with promoting it, being ultra racist or whatever the fuck. Whether he really is behind the scenes or not, who knows? But we know that's the character he's going to try to portray. So it looks like Leon is now on the back burner. I've seen that, hey, he might have to fight the winner of Burns and Wonderboy, which is ridiculous. But that's my problem with it. It's kind of like the fans of Nate Diaz create such a strong narrative that Nate Diaz would have won if there was a 6th round, that now it's fucking Leon, who has the longest win streak behind Kamaru Usman, won't get a shot at a title due to the last minute of the fight because he happened to get caught with a punch. And I just look, and I think that's such a shame for Leon. Like, that must be so demoralizing for a fighter who's on a 9-fight, 10-fight win streak, dominating every opponent, but the 160 seconds, even though he won that fight, that final 60 seconds is what people are like, well, he doesn't deserve the number. He doesn't deserve it now. Give it back to Kobe. And that's such a shame, man. And I have no problem with Nate Diaz because Nate Diaz didn't do anything wrong. He was entertaining. He landed a good punch. He didn't finish it, which was weird, but I have no problem with Nate Diaz, but I hate the narrative that's going to be spinning. And by the way, last before least, listeners, we have a special listener who was acting like Marvin Vettori in the comments. So, I hope when this video comes out, let's see what he has to say. And I'm interested in what he has to say because he was throwing all sorts of expletives and shit like that. And I'm kind of like, all right, motherfucker, we're going to say when Nate loses. Nate did lose. So let's see what you're going to say.
It was probably just a burner account, yo.
It could have been. Shouts out to Nate Diaz if it's a burner account.
Nah, you guys pretty much said everything I wanted to say, except personally, when it comes to Nate Diaz, after watching that fight, I think it's time just to hang it up. Personally, he got dominated for 24 minutes out of 25. This is like his first fight back in, I think, a couple of years, I believe. So I didn't see anything that was impressive. And when he did have a chance to actually steal the fight for a win, which would have probably done wonders for him in terms of his next fighting opportunity, he decides to sit and point, which to me was just like, that probably was like the one thing that pissed me off the most about the fight was that you had a chance to finish the fight that you were losing. Your corner's letting you know you're losing the fight. Your corner's telling you in the fourth round, going into the fifth round, hey, we got to put it all, everything's on the line in this one round. And you get to that point and you break through, you practically have him on baby deer legs. Like he's literally standing like a newborn baby deer. And instead of trying to finish him, you just sit and point and you taunt him. And eventually, I think the thing that got me about it was that he tried to finish him off after he recovered. So it's like Leon Edwards starts recovering, it's too late at this point. So, with all that being said, I think it is messed up that Leon Edwards won't be able to fight for the title next, but I think we all know what that is. Plus, on top of it, it's a good fight to sell. So between Colby Covington and Kamaru Usman, so I think even if Nate Diaz had won the fight, I think Nate Diaz would have just been the next up after Colby. I think Colby versus Kamaru Usman brings in more dollars than Kamaru versus Nate or Leon. So unfortunately, Leon Edwards won't be able to get the winner of that fight, though I think we should go back to some sense of the original way of fighting used to be, where it's like, hey, the best guy fights the next best guy. The champion fights the next best guy. But it like we said, it's politics. A lot of this stuff is political now. So, and until then, that's all I have to say about it. I think Nate Diaz should just kind of hang it up for now and just wait for the Conor fight. Because I think if Conor loses like next month, then it's probably going to just be Conor versus Nate, and that's it. So,
I mean, I wouldn't be interested in watching it because it's going to be a fight where, it means nothing.
Sell.
I mean, it's going to sell, and it's just $1 million payday for both men, but it doesn't hold any weight as far as like who's next for a title shot. Like, fans like those type of fights, but they don't like it when it's like this is the headlining act. And I feel like the headlining act should always be a fight that means something. Hey, This is a meaningful fight. Something is going to come from this, not Floyd and Logan Paul.
But I think something will come. I think what they'll set that fight up for, that fight will probably be set up as Conor's last fight. They'll
Yeah.
probably set that up as
like a retirement fight.
yeah. Like
And-
imagine if you have Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz, and they both come out and say, "Hey, this is my last fight." Two big audiences. The pay-per-view will sell like it'd probably be one of the highest pay-per-views for MMA.
When you do it like that, that's I fucks with it because that's a story to sell.
Right.
But
It reminds me of the old UFC cards where they can have like the actual good fights that aren't title fights as the main event. And at that point, I can respect it because of the way they do it. You know what I mean?
Man, I mean, when Connor's fighting, he's unfortunately, well, I'm not gonna say unfortunately, the man has earned it, but he's going to be the main event.
Of course.
No matter, he's going to be a main event. But one thing Spence said about Nate Diaz's corner saying, like you're losing this fight, that let's bring it to the main event. Vittori's corner, his fucking coach was yelling at the top of his lungs, "You're losing this fight." every round, they were showing the picture. You're losing this fight. You got to do this. You got to be first. What is going on? I thought you want to be champion.
I'm winning, coach.
Yeah, and Vittori arguing with this coach. It's like man, you can't help people like that. You got to let them figure it out on their own.
Nah, that's a fact. Some people like that is just like, yo, it's a lost cause, man. This is straight up. At that point, it's like even the coach probably knew, was like, I'm not coaching this kid after this, man. Waste of time, man. Waste of space and place.
Yeah, that's but